Do you like Micah Parsons? Would you like another one? Let me introduce you to Jalon Walker, University of Georgia. Joe, are you hating on my guy?
I'm not.
He's hating on my guy.
I'm not hating on your guy. I just don't like him to the lengths that you like him because I have a question, Jeff.
I welcome your question.
He hasn't run a 40 yet, and
Nope.
I think he looks fast on film.
Yep.
But when I see just his measurables and everything,
6'1", 243 pounds, 32-inch arms. That's all we know about Jalon Walker so far. No
weak
40, no jumps, no nothing.
I see weak side linebacker. I don't see edge rusher. Like I see smaller, compact guy that I wonder about getting off the edge. And I know we've seen it on film that he has that potential. I think he has that speed, but he didn't work out his pro day. He's going to have a workout coming up in April, you said?
April 17th, Jalon Walker will work out for NFL teams. He had a quad strain.
I like the potential, but as a weak side linebacker?
Therein lies the challenge, and every video we do about a prospect is going to have somewhere in it in this draft. Jalon Walker is 6'1", 243. If you had to say what he played at Georgia, you would say he plays linebacker. But he also, when it's time to go get the quarterback, lines up on the edge and goes and gives somebody hell. I wouldn't say that he's like a super refined pass rusher, but I would say he's hard as hell to block and stay in front of. And he's one of the guys where I'm trusting notes.
Mm-hmm.
Like as a draft analyst, Jalon Walker, it depends who you ask. Like, let me see where I have him, because I do have my first round guys stacked up. I have Jalon Walker as the 5th best guy in the draft.
So does Daniel Jeremiah.
He has him at 5?
5.
Okay.
At 5.
So after the guys that I think everyone agrees on, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Mason Graham, Ashton Genty, and some people, because Genty's running back, might have him lower. But that's where, for me, you start sorting through the guys that aren't perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And Jalon Walker's not perfect, because if you're talking about a top 5 player, you probably wouldn't be talking about a weak side linebacker.
Yeah.
And so the fact that he also has value as a pass rusher is what I cook into it. And it's like I watch his tape and I go, okay, so here is a quarterback that let me see if I can get the games that I did on Jalon Walker. One of my favorite ones, I believe it was probably the Texas game, huh?
Yeah, he cooked in the Texas game.
So in the Texas game, not just as a pass rusher, as a linebacker, or whatever, you just saw it's like, okay, I'm looking in a non-perfect draft class where I don't have a Myles Garrett type edge guy. Well, Abdul Carter's great, but like that's what you want. You want the premier positions, the right body type, the right athleticism that was productive in college, and he's a true junior. Bang. There's my top 10 picks.
Yep.
And we're lacking that. And so once I get past the guys who I feel like I absolutely know what they're going to be, he's the guy that I like the most who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And am I 100% sure how you're using him? Not necessarily. But here's what Jalon Walker can do. He is capable as a linebacker lined up off the ball playing the run. He's capable when you motion a running back out of going with him and covering him. He's very capable, as Quinn Ewers will tell you this. Quarterback spy. When Jalon Walker had 2 or 3 plays in that game where they're just like, yeah, they're going to do whatever they're going to do, and Jalon Walker's going to wait and watch what Quinn Ewers does, and when he breaks that pocket, there's going to be a blur that's going to come get him. And then when he lines up and he rushes up the middle as a linebacker, when he lines up and he rushes off the edge, he's hard to block. But it does. It comes back to exactly what you're saying, and there are other people who rank him way lower than 5th.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pro Football Focus has him around 30.
Yeah, like 27th.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's fair because it's like, okay, is he a multifaceted guy that's a weapon in every different way? Or is he a tweener?
I know.
And that's the battle.
I know. And I think I'm going to say this. If the Dallas Cowboys select him at 12, I think that'll be the most interesting pick they could have in the first round. Because when you talk about that versatile weapon, you talk about that potential tweener, the Cowboys are interesting, and they better be interesting because you got Micah Parsons on the edge. No need to worry about that, right?
Nope.
Linebacker, you got DeMarvion Overshown, who is going to be hurt to start the season, but is extremely talented. You got Maris Liufau, who's still an unknown, right? You trade for Kenneth Murray, who's got all the talent in the world, has just not put it together. You got Jack Sanborn, who is kind of the opposite of Kenneth Murray. And then you got Dante Fowler on the edge, too, who was a 10-sack guy this past season.
Damone Clark is on the team.
And then you have Damone Clark as well.
Buddy Johnson. Don't
Buddy
forget the
Johnson.
great Buddy Johnson.
But my point being, you have a lot of question marks, and you have a lot of ways that if you were to draft Jalon Walker, that means you got plans to use him in a lot of different ways, I think. He could be the weak side linebacker until DeMarvin Overshown comes back. He could be the eventual Robin to Micah Parsons Batman when Dante Fowler it kind of falls off or is done. That would be a guy that you can move all up. Shoot, if Kenneth Murray or Jack Sanborn don't work out, or Maris Liufau, that is your guy next to DeMarvin Overshown potentially for next 5 years. And you know how much speed you have at linebacker?
That's fun.
If you have Jalon Walker, DeMarvin Overshown, and Micah Parsons.
Oh, it's fun. I would say if we are ranking the likelihood that if available, he's the pick, his might be kind of low because I think the Cowboys are very much into what they have and what do they think that guy's going to do and what do we need. And the fact that the place where he'd spend a lot of his time is probably where Overshown will be when he gets back. And out of all the people they traded for, like Kenneth Murray's on the books for $7 million or something like that.
Yep.
And I think they like him.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of inconsistencies in his NFL play, but I think they like him. And so they already have a guy in place that's the bridge until Overshown's back. Am I really going to use a first-round pick to jam up all of this? I think it might be a long shot, but the world needs to know Jeff's stamp of approval. If you did it, he shows up, and then all those other linebackers show up, and you go, hey, here's the thing. It's a meritocracy. He's taking your job.
Yeah.
One of you's backing him up. Who's it going to be? And on third down, Dante Fowler, he's probably taking your job.
Yeah.
He's going to go get the quarterback for you.
But that might be the best for them. And realistically, I think if Ashton JT's gone, if Mason Graham is gone, Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter will be gone. Sorry, Cowboys fans. This would be potentially the best player available. So Cowboys, who like to take need, like to telegraph what they do, this would be a curveball in the sake of drafting best player available. And I think that would be very interesting to cover.
I think he transcends tweener. I think wherever you put him, he succeeds. So I do think he's tweener, but whichever spot you put him at, he's going to do well on that snap. Unless they run straight at him when he's lined up as a defensive end. That might be a problem when you're 243 pounds, but he is strong like bull. Jalon Walker, University of Georgia. Let's hear from our draft guru and analyst, the great Fran Duffy.
All right, let's have some fun here because this is one of the more interesting prospects to talk about in the 2025 NFL draft, and that's Jalon Walker from Georgia. Is he a pass rusher? Is he a linebacker? Is he neither? Is he both? Is he something else? We can talk through it all with Jalon Walker. 6'1", 243 pounds. Is he a tweener? What do you kind of like him best at? Georgia used him everywhere, and that's the big thing that stands out when you first watch him on film. There's definitely a Where's Waldo element with this player because one snap, you might see him lined up as a true stacked linebacker. Then you might see him walked out over the slot. You might see him down on the line of scrimmage, standing up over the center. Then you might see him lined up with his hand in the dirt off the edge against the tackle. So he's used all over the formation with this Georgia defense, and he was an impactful player. He was able to make plays against the run, against the pass. Now the question is just trying to project that forward.
Jalon Walker, University of Georgia. I love his tape. My notes on him say he's amazing. So make sure you're signed up to be a diehard. You'll have access to all of Fran's greatness when it comes to his draft guide, his draft rankings, and all of those different things of that sort. Sign up to be a diehard. AllDLS.com/diehard. Please leave in the comments, what's your favorite kind of breakfast beverage?